On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. Trump has just absolutely embarrassed Newsom. It's pretty awesome. Also, Scott Bessent takes a freaking nice little jab at him as well. And Macron also gets the shaft. Donald Trump completely ridicules the European Union, ridicules NATO to a degree, Canada. He's pretty much beaten up on everybody. We've got kind of an overview, a little bit long, but it covers pretty much all the key points. They did actually a pretty good job breaking it down, just like point by point, like bullet points, if you will. So we'll at least get through it. We do got a lot to talk about when it comes to waste, fraud, abuse, elections, whole lot of stuff. And apparently got some good news to celebrate with the first family, or second family, I should say. First, quick reminder. Friday, guys, Thursday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. We're going to have a call if you guys are interested in becoming distributors for the Feel Great product. So you would certainly go to otfspecial.com/info. otfspecial.com/info. Put the info in there. This is being managed by Feel Great there. It's their meeting. So again, this is just how we can convert your membership, if you will, or your, I think that's what they call you, a member, convert you from a member to a distributor. And so if you're interested in doing that, it's a great idea and it's an incredible product. So if you've taken the product, certainly, and you'd like to be a part of this, please do so. It's not really like a meet and greet. We're not going to be hanging out, and it's not to ask questions of me or anything like that. So this is just strictly for the company and an opportunity for you guys, hopefully. Again, that'll be happening Thursday. Also, the music, got it recorded. Got some great like Christian type music, basically. It was fun. My girlfriend actually sat up here while I recorded it, which I did yesterday. And she's like, I've never heard any of these songs. And I'm like, me neither. Never heard one of them. Not a one. Not one of these songs that I've ever heard before in my entire life. So I literally just grabbed some music I'd never heard that I liked, caught my attention, had a cool beat, uplifting, whatever. It's going to be fun. So we're going to have that going on Friday. That'll be at, of course, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 Central is when we go live. But you can certainly watch it whenever you want. Some great music's going to be coming from that. Second family, congratulations on their fourth child. J.D. Vance, with as busy as you are, sir, you've still got time to get something straight between you and your lovely lady. So good for you. Good for you. That's an excellent, or maybe it's got a slight bend in it. We don't really know, frankly. But very cool. Congratulations, sir. Fourth child. Hustle Bitch put this out, and this is an interesting point. They are quietly admitting it now. A once-in-a-lifetime storm is about to hit half the U.S. Yeah, this storm that's coming. And it could turn catastrophic. So for a lot of you guys that are in path of the worst of this, and they, I think, suggest, where is in this article where they talk about the places, but you should know if you are. Fortunately, I'm going to kind of luck out on this one, so I apologize, guys. But yeah, you guys are going to get a lot of ice. Make sure you got extra water, extra food. You're obviously already aware of that, and I'm sure people have already panic purchased everything. Used to crack me up, man. In Tennessee, all they'd have to do is say snow flurries. In the grocery store I worked at, we'd sell out of canned chili, we'd sell out of bottled water, we'd sell out of toilet paper, which two of those things definitely go together. But yes, interesting. And it was all because of the blizzard. They used to tell me about the blizzard they had. I don't remember what year it was. It was like the blizzard of 91 or something crazy. And I'm like, finally got someone to tell me, I'm like, how much snow did you guys actually get during the blizzard? And they're like, we got like 3 inches. And I'm like, 3 inches? And that was your blizzard? They didn't know what to do, though. I mean, some parts of the country, they don't know how to handle snow at all. In fact, it snowed there one time. I was lucky I got home. Scott Bessent warns Taiwan chip reliance is a huge risk. Again, this is one of the biggest problems that everyone's got right now is we put all of our eggs in one basket, and that basket's not even in our location. We've got to rely on somebody to ship us eggs from our own basket. So, yeah, we've got to get this back into the United States. I actually kind of think China and the U.S. are sort of playing nice. Like Trump's kind of like, we could be total dicks on some stuff too. So you hang tight on the Taiwan thing until we're finally able to get some of this manufacturing over here. Otherwise, the entire world is going to lose these chips because most everybody understands that Taiwan's going to sabotage those facilities when China takes over. China's probably not going to get access to this technology. Or if they do, it's going to take them quite a while to rebuild it. So, yeah, Scott Bessent's saying a lot of good stuff here lately. U.S. antimony strengthens domestic supply chain. We've got some two places, I guess, in Montana. There's a purchase up there, but there's 2 antimony smelters up there. It's not a huge deal, it looks like. $4.75 million. This is a good purchase, though. Anything that has to do with metals and processing, ore and refining is going to be like big business over the next number of years as we try to work through some of the problems we've got in bringing home some of these manufacturing processes. This, again, isn't necessarily new news, but it's sort of being spoken about in a new way, and I like that. U.S. attorney is blowing the lid off this Somali fraud nonsense. Here, Trump posted this on Truth.
I spoke in the fall about the iceberg I saw ahead. Something's fraud that's much larger than what's been visible to the public. When I said that, it wasn't hyperbole or rhetoric, it was a warning. And today I want to talk and I want to show here a sense of what that iceberg looks like, because I think people deserve to know what that is and how big this problem is, because we can't solve the problem until we grapple with the size of it. So the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services pulled the claims data for these 14 programs dating back to 2018. And those 14 programs in Minnesota have cost $18 billion since 2018, and more than $3.5 billion in 2024 alone. So that's a sense of the magnitude of the problem. These are the 14 Medicaid programs, which is just a part of Medicaid, these waivered services that have been flagged as having issues with program integrity and fraud. Now, I'm sure everyone is wondering how much of this $18 billion was fraud. It's not the $1 million question, that's the $18 billion question. The answer is far too much, and the task ahead of all of us is not only figuring out how much of that money was fraud, because we know a significant amount was, but figuring out how to put an end to the fraud in our state and get control of it. So let me end with this before I take questions. The magnitude of the fraud in Minnesota cannot be overstated. It's staggering amounts of money that have been lost. But it's not just about the money that's been stolen and wasted. This is a problem that's caused all of us to question what kind of state we live in. I think it's eroded our sense of collective statewide self-esteem and confidence. It's caused we have a state, as I've said before, that has long taken pride in having a strong economy, good schools, beautiful lakes, mini parks, and a sense of community spirit and civic mindedness. This fraud really calls into question all of that. And I know that it's gone on, it's been allowed to go on far too long. And we need to do whatever we can to stop it in its tracks.
The biggest problem that we have, too, with this is there are legitimate people that are receiving some of that $18 billion of insurance, healthcare, whatever those 14 Medicaid things were, right? But an overwhelming amount of it's going to fraud. Now, if you just completely shut it down, you risk hurting people that shouldn't be hurt. That's not good. I don't know how quickly they can identify who people are that are literally fraudulent. And then is fraud, I mean, it should be. It's illegal. So it should be something that's able to get people kicked out of the country. So that should immediately begin happening. And hopefully you start whittling away at it in that regard. But when the state's not even trying to help, and when they won't let you go in or get access to records so you can rectify it yourself outside as a federal agent, and they still want their hand out with money coming in, they're like, I still want the money. I don't care. No, you can't look at it. You got to do something. You got to play hardball in order to get them to finally come to the table and admit, yeah, okay, fine, you can look. And then upon closer inspection, they're going to find just insane amounts of fraud, right? Trump is a rock star, and the way elections are playing out, there is election stuff about 2020 going to come out. And then after that, most likely, there will be the executive order. I think the executive order will be timed as such that it will be too close to the elections to stop it. And I don't think the court, a district judge, and hopefully that's remedied to some degree, but I don't think a district judge will be able to stop Trump from doing what he's going to do. There, I believe, are going to be very airtight. We'll, of course, see. The timing will be impeccable. And they know what's going on. They know, but when it happens, it's when it should. And if it hasn't happened, it's because it's not time yet. Again, we have an attention span of a mosquito in this country, so we've got to do something. All that said, Trump is destroying people that don't make America great again. And I mean Congress members, period. So I want to remind all of them once again what side you should be playing on. He's already called out Howley and a couple others, which I'm going to remember. Locked up there. Howley, you're off the list, buddy. Sorry. There's a few of you guys mentioned. Most of you guys I didn't like already. Collins, Murkowski, and I forget the other one. I think from Florida, if I remember correctly. Anywho, the power of Trump is impressive. And CNN, I mean, this guy, yeah, anyway, you'll see.
It's a huge deal because President Trump is the kingmaker in Republican primaries. That's why it's such a big deal. Take a look here. Times Trump endorsees won GOP primaries. This is congressional and gubernatorial. In 2020, it was 98%. In 2022, it was 95%. In 2024, it was 96%. President Trump has the magic touch when it comes to endorsing in Republican primaries. And when he doesn't endorse you, you go, to quote the great movie Good Burger, into the grinder.
And so Cassidy was one of the Republican senators who voted to convict President Trump in his second impeachment trial. How have those Republican senators done?
When you voted to convict President Trump in that second impeachment trial, how'd you do for re-election? Not so hot to trot, because let's take a look here. Okay, GOP senators who voted to convict Trump won their next election. Just 1 out of 5. That one is Lisa Murkowski in the great state of Alaska, which of course has that top 4 primary situation going on there. So very, very different than the traditional primary structure that is throughout the rest of the United States. The bottom line is this: the vast majority of Republicans who voted to convict Trump, who had a re-election, either lost, or actually they didn't even run. They retired, they resigned in the case of Ben Sasse, or there are 2 up for re-election this year, Bill Cassidy and Susan Collins up in Maine. But the bottom line is this: if you voted to convict Trump so far, your chances of winning re-election have been quite small. And Bill Cassidy, of course, just got a major impediment to his road to re-election if Ludlow decides to run.
And this really largely has to do with how much Republicans still support Donald Trump.
Yeah, I mean, look, Donald Trump was popular in 2016. He was really popular in 2018, really popular in 2020, popular in 2022, popular in 2024, and now we come to 2026.
Among Republicans.
Among Republicans, exactly right. And he is still quite popular amongst Republicans at this point. Look, overall in July, it was 89%. That was 6 months ago. Today, it's basically the same at 88%. How about strongly approved? Those who don't just like Donald Trump, but love him, love him, love him. In July, it was 61%. It's the same 61% now, and that is why the GOP voters, when Donald Trump says something, they say, how quickly can we get to Donald Trump's position?
And if you want to see the impact that this had, just this one statement from President Trump over the weekend, what did it do in the betting markets to Bill Cassidy's chances of being elected?
Yeah, you look at the prediction markets. Take a look here. Chance to be the 2026 GOP nominee for the Louisiana Senate race. Bill Cassidy at just an 18% chance at this point, and this lines up very much with what we've seen historically speaking. That is, when Donald Trump goes against you in a Republican primary, your chances fall through the floor.
All right, that number says everything. Harry.
I love how dramatic that dude is. Through the floor, in the grinder. He's awesome. Anyway, all said. Him and the other dude on CNN on the shows. That guy's freaking killer, too. Love him. Trump urges Louisiana Rep. Julia Letlow to run for Senate against incumbent Bill Cassidy. I guess she's in the House right now. He wants her to run for the Senate. I think he believes she's got the numbers, and with her, with Trump basically saying this is who I'm putting my money on, then we'll vote for her. Cassidy's done. Cassidy's done. Keep that in mind, Howley, because your days are coming. I know you're not necessarily up for this time. Collins, you're totally going to lose, unquestionably. Murkowski, I'm praying we can figure out a way to get you out entirely. But yeah, they've got that the top 4 people make it over there. So it will be tricky for her to not at least pull in the top 4, no matter what. even if we primary her. But yeah, we should hopefully be able to find somebody that we can elect. Grok posted, or somebody looked this up on Grok, one of the two. I don't know. Hopefully Grok's not just posting shit all on its own. But based on X search in 2025, Senator Graham posted 0 times about South Carolina versus 97 times about Ukraine, 99 times about Israel, 43 about Iran, 60 about Russia, 40 about Syria, and 19 about China. Yeah, he's all in on the war places, isn't he? Total war hawk. He's not shy about admitting that either, by the way, but obviously he's very heavily involved in that stuff, and I'll never, ever forget the picture of him and McCain out in Ukraine. So, yeah, there's so much dirt. This dude, I don't know how he's going to play out in this one. He seems to generally go the way he needs to, so maybe he doesn't fall through the cracks. I don't know. We'll see what happens to him, but he's definitely on my shit list, that's for sure. Maryland Democrats are now moving to abolish the one remaining Republican congressional district in 2026, which would make the map 8 Democrats, 0 Republicans. They talk about how what Texas did was so horrible, and then California does the exact same thing, and all these other states do it, right? So again, I have zero respect for people. I have zero respect for hypocrites. Let's just put it that way. Zero respect for anyone that's a hypocrite. Anybody. I actually find hypocrites on both sides of the fence, frankly, so I'm disappointed often, but it is what it is. I just cannot stand hypocrisy. Mike Lee pushed this out. The Persistence apparently posted, breaking news, Senator Grassley, Republican, of course, in Iowa, will not support the SAVE Act, despite the fact that the U.S. Constitution clearly states that Congress may have to get involved, right, with the elections. So he responds to this, basically, Mike Lee, and says, federal law is the problem here. A federal statute, the NVRA, has been wrongly interpreted by the courts to prohibit states from seeking proof of citizenship. The SAVE Act would fix the problem. You can't default to federalism when federal law is itself the problem. So, we'll see. And, let's see, he kind of continued, I think. It can be just as offensive to the Constitution when we fail to act where federal action is warranted as it is when we act where federal action is not warranted. Only Congress can fix this particular problem. Yeah, I mean, you should have to provide ID for voting. I mean, that should just be mandatory. And again, we've got doucheholes, Grassley, as an example. And again, he's the one that won't get rid of the blue checks. Sweet old man. Grassley, you're very, very quickly ending up on the list of shitheads. Very quickly. It's a lot of things that you seem to be in the way of. You're old anyways, too. President Trump talks about the election stuff with Davos, or the World Economic Forum. That's another way to say that. And people are like, what? He was what? Yeah, he was there. He's telling them what's up. Telling the deep state exactly what's up.
It's a war that should have never started, and it wouldn't have started if the 2020 U.S. presidential election weren't rigged. It was a rigged election. Everybody now knows that. They found out. People will soon be prosecuted for what they did. It's probably breaking news, but it should be. It was a rigged election. You can't have rigged elections. You need strong borders, strong elections, and ideally a good press. I always say it. Strong borders, strong elections, free, fair elections, and a fair media. The media is terrible. It's very crooked. It's very biased, terrible.
Yeah, certainly. A lot of people said he wasn't necessarily as exciting and whatnot. First off, the dude never sleeps, so who knows if he's actually ever tired at some point. But all that said, this isn't the place to be exciting and all that. Doesn't want to be there. He's ho-hummed. He's bored by them. So I think he wanted to sound bored. Like, I'm bored. I'm bummed I even had to come here. It's a long flight for nothing. President Trump was just asked if Maduro has provided any information about the software in the election.
Kara Castanova from Lindell TV, and you spoke earlier about the 2020 election. Now that Maduro is in U.S. custody and he was criminally charged, has any more information emerged that you could share with us regarding Venezuelan election software and Venezuelan ties to tampering with the 2020 election? And would you consider speaking to Maduro personally in prison in New York to get some answers on Venezuela's involvement with the 2020 election?
No, I don't think I would be doing that. I think my lawyers would be very unhappy if I did that. Yeah, they've learned some things. Please.
They've learned some things, of course. But yeah, mouthful there. And Lindell TV, good job. Kraft Heinz, top shareholders, Berkshire's stepping away from them. They've got they own something like 27% of their stock or something. Crap ton. And their shares are down a bunch because of this. They owned 28 or do own 28% of this company. And they are going to start selling those stocks, those shares. One, these Kraft foods, most of these foods are horrible foods, especially as far as make America healthy again. Like, horrible, all of them. If you look at every single, Oscar Mayer, Capri Sun, Kool-Aid, what else? Grey Poupon. Come on. But yeah, anyway, bunch of crap in here, basically. Jell-O, it's all said. This is going to hugely affect their shares, but what's funny is you've got to find someone to buy them. And it just kind of made me think. I'm like, is that what happens with a lot of people's 401ks? Like the big guys like Berkshire Hathaway, they're like, yeah, we're going to sell. And then all the little crap ones that are representing people are like, oh, I guess we'll buy them. And they get screwed. I just wonder how that works, because if Berkshire Hathaway is selling off a bunch of crap, if you're an investor, you'd probably be wise to follow suit. Now, maybe when the stock price comes way down, but they still got to sell off all those shares. So I don't know. Or do they just sit open on the market? I don't fully understand how that works, frankly. I guess I don't trade enough. I don't trade at all, frankly. I've got some stocks. I said before, I own some Rumble, right? I own a few stocks. Got some stocks. Got a little bit of crypto. What are you going to do? Market shrug after EU freezes U.S. trade deal approval over Greenland. Yeah, the markets really didn't do anything crazy today. Nuclear stocks went up because Trump tells Davos they're going heavy into nuclear. Duh. So that's cool. Again, energy stocks are going to be huge. Mining stocks will be huge. These are the companies you'd probably be wise to invest in. They're definitely going to go up over the next period of time. Well, depending on the company. Certainly do some research. Gold's up about $58 right now, but it's been up quite a bit recently. And so that's, as far as inflation speaks, that's bad. Now, again, Trump has done a lot to get inflation under control, but I don't know. This is one of those things where, again, confirmation bias, right? And I'm always very, very transparent about this. I do believe the Federal Reserve is supposed to go. I believe that. And how we transition from that, that's going to be the question, right? So we've got to be able to, at some point, step away from the Fed. I don't know how we legally can do that, or if there's time frames on when they renegotiate. I don't know how that all plays out. We will find out. We'll learn more. Maybe some of you guys are privy. But this, inflationary aspect with gold's a little interesting. Silver as well. It's kind of cool. It's down $2. It's been up like crazy, down a little bit. It's going to go back up. It'll probably break 100 soon. Again, just craziness going on in these markets. If you've got a 401k or an IRA, get out of their system, guys. My good friends at Goldco can help you do that. Tax-free, penalty-free. You can move your money sideways, as much of it as you can anyways. You get physical precious metals. They're put into a trust, into a safe, basically. And, you kind of got to pay rent on that stuff. You own coins. You own silver. You own bars and stuff. You want to make sure you can transition some or much of that 401k and transfer it into something that's going to hold buying power. And that's what precious metals do. Gold holds really well. Silver is actually multiplying because of usage in the paper contracts and all sorts of weird stuff. So that's something to keep in mind. They're going to give you up to 10% free silver from Goldco. They're going to give that to you on top of. So there's some extra silver to sweeten the deal. And if you can call within 20 minutes, you're going to get a cool Ronald Reagan coin that's 0.999% silver. It's half ounce, which is, at this point, it's worth what? Half of $92. So there you go. Not a bad deal, right? So check it out if you can. Go to drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. Get out of their stupid system, or at least protect a bunch of your buying power before they continue to screw up the currency. Because, again, I'm pretty sure the Fed's coming down. And many are saying precious metals are one of the key things that's going to destroy it. Be on the right side of that, because the new Treasury notes are going to be backed by precious metals. That's the cool thing. So if you can get precious metals, you're going to be in a good place. You're going to have the valuable component and then you can just transfer that straight over to treasuries when we finally get to that point. It should be a good day. Anti-ICE groups, they could be stripped of their nonprofit benefit status. There's a watchdog group that's looking into these guys, and they've come to find there's a number of companies, that are breaking some very specific rules that allow you to be nonprofit. And because of that breaking of rules, they likely should lose their nonprofit status. Again, this is another direction to go after the money flow. If you kill the companies, if you kill the non-government organizations, if you can shut down the problem children, if you will, and do it reasonably quickly, one, they can't spin up new ones, and two, you stop the problem. The money's everything. Money's everything. So we are shutting down a lot of stuff. Anyway, they're going after these guys, and they're gonna. Yeah, I'm sure we're gonna hearing some great news over the next period of time. House Democratic leaders to oppose the DHS bill over ICE funding. They kind of want to shut down DHS. I assume this is something that they want everybody to see, because this is Department of Homeland Security. So they want to give up the security of our country to further stuff for people that aren't here legally. Let me say that again. They literally want to take away the security of our nation, because DHS covers a lot of stuff. They'd rather shut that security down because they don't like what ICE is doing to illegal immigrants that have committed additional crimes in almost all cases. I think it was 70%, I believe, was the number Christie gave. 70% of all the people that have been deported have felonies also on top of being here illegally. And they want to shut down our security. It just blows my mind. It blows my mind. Embarrassing turn as anti-Trump protesters in downtown Los Angeles, right? It was supposed to be thousands of people. Yeah, it was apparently hundreds. ABC News was flying over it even. So, again, interesting. But, yeah, hundreds of protesters were supposed to gather for this Free America. It was a walkout. And everybody at 2 p.m. was going to walk out outside. And they didn't. And it was actually a nice day yesterday. So, beautiful day, in fact. It wasn't too warm. Oh, it was gorgeous. Apparently, they still didn't want to go out there. Isn't that strange? Now, some of it, I wonder if there's a lot of people that are illegal are like, I'm not going out there. La Migra will get us. And they probably would have. And the people, this is really just the progressives, which is kind of the cool part about this right now. And I think that's part of the plan. Best guess, it seems, because they're intentionally triggering this group of people. And this is the group of people that get violent, even though they keep trying to say it's us Republicans. Well, I'm not a Republican, but us conservative people, MAGA people, right? Like, we're the violent ones, right? They're the ones that go out and cause problems, that put noises in your ears and light lasers in your face. And these guys are violent. They may be protesting legally, but they're violent about it. They do certainly damage. We've seen lots of. So you guys are, this is just part of the plan. It's part of the whole thing, so everybody can see it. Blue Lives Matter posted this. It's pretty sweet. Said, we're not saying that Blue Lives Matter was behind feeding false information to far-left anti-ICE protesters. We're not saying we had teams compromised of hundreds of off-duty cops and veteran volunteers to run decoy operations so far-left activists thought they were conducting ICE raids. We're not saying they were just driving around in what appeared to be unmarked vehicles with tinted windows, drinking coffee and listening to Guns N' Roses, being chased down and surrounded by protesters. What we are saying is that if it did happen, it sure worked remarkably well in all 9 different states, allowing actual raids to successfully take place unimpeded, helping support the capture of hundreds of criminals. Combat veterans, off-duty officers, and patriotic Americans have had enough of the radical left and are being activated across this country to back our law enforcement. And they're smarter, more skilled, more driven, better trained than the left, and actually enjoy sitting in a deer stand for days on end just waiting. Yeah, F around and find out. And the problem is you can't put the genie back in the bottle. And you popped the genie. You opened Pandora's box. You did it. You got us engaged. Problem was, we didn't get engaged the way you thought we were, because you guys think that way. So this is what's funny about the difference kind of between the left and the right. The left thinks in terms of violence, so they project that onto the right and say this is what we're going to do to them, when in reality that's what they would do if they were us. But we don't operate that way. We have a moral compass. We just aren't necessarily that, where we want to hop into someone's face and escalate things. That's just not generally how we're wired. So because of that, they failed hugely. And now we are, triggering the hell out of them and outsmarting them in every sense of the word. They're so busy trying to make noise that we're busy running around the noise. We're busy utilizing the noise. We're busy focusing the noise into a certain place where it doesn't make any sense. Maybe. SCOTUS going to hear a Second Amendment case Tuesday involving concealed carry. Hawaii. Law that prevents concealed carry permit holders from bringing handguns to beaches, bars, and restaurants that serve alcohol and gas stations without the owner's permission. But kind of defeats the purpose of a concealed weapon, doesn't it? Right? Like, if I've got to tell you I have it, then it's not really as concealed as I need it to be. I think anyways. You don't run around just tell everybody you got one. We'll see. I can see, obviously Hawaii would try to make them illegal everywhere they could. And so Supreme Court seeing this one will be very interesting. I think statistically, from the historical standpoint, I should say, the Supreme Court, they're going to look at it from that standpoint, and they're going to be like, people have always carried firearms into saloons and stuff. That's been kind of part of our culture forever. So I don't know if that's going to go over well. Got some interesting news around Epstein. ABC News has reported, surprisingly, judge declined to appoint the special master to oversee the DOJ release of remaining Epstein files. Now, I knew the DOJ was fighting that. It looks as though they won. I think they should. I think it makes sense. I think the DOJ is going as quick as they can. People may disagree with that. I think Thomas Massey's a pile of shit. So Ro Khanna, I have zero respect for either of those people. So the fact that they're behind it, I think, says volumes. Every once in a while, I see Thomas Massey will try to push through something that people like it'll be like a UFO thing, or it'll be like free money to people. And it's just, dude's a pile of trash. Can't wait to get rid of him. Can't wait. Oh, I can't wait. James Comer, he rejects a ridiculous offer by the Clintons. Apparently the Clintons wanted this special little deal where there would be a handwritten transcribed of the interview, and it wouldn't be public. It wouldn't be in front of the Congress and all this nonsense. And he's like, yeah, no, thanks. No, sorry. No, we're not going to play that game at all. Thanks. Thank you again. Have a nice day. So, yeah, they're going to be pushing this further. Oversight Committee, in fact, they reported one of the Clintons' pawns claimed to the fake New York Times that they never ruled out a transcript. The receipts tell a different story. They demanded that there be only one staffer to take notes for each side during the interview. So, Oversight Committee, tune in at 10 a.m. on X as the Oversight Committee is going to hold Bill and Hillary Clinton in contempt of Congress for delaying lawful subpoenas. Yeah, no one's above the law. We've heard that all before. So this probably happened already because it's after 10 a.m. their time specifically. But big deal. Big deal. Ghislaine Maxwell's been ordered to do a tell-all in front of the House Oversight Committee. Epstein deposition. Clinton's involved now, too, and they're going to pull in Ghislaine Maxwell. Now, she'll probably try to swing a deal, and maybe they've agreed. Because I think the Supreme Court case is over, and that was the one thing that she was dragging her feet on. She's like, I don't want to say anything that's going to screw that up. I think the case at the Supreme Court's like, yeah, no, we're not going to see this case. You're sorry. You don't give a shit. So she might be free to work this deal from a different direction. We know Todd Blanche spent, 3 days talking to her or whatever. So a lot of interesting information. They also stole the notes that were given to her. The prison did. that was kind of quietly kept. I don't know if you guys remember hearing that, but back after Todd Blanche, that first day, we showed a picture of her holding this box. Well, the prison people went through all that stuff. Deep state, obviously. So she's going to have to talk before the committee. Might be very interesting to see what happens. Got some successes to report, which is cool. Left-wing bias on television takes another hit. This is a beautiful thing because now, again, from a network standpoint, it didn't. When you watch cable TV, it's not. When you're watching like your local ABC, NBC, CBS affiliate, right? The one that has the helicopter and goes and flies around and shows you stuff, and it's usually on like channels 9 or 11 or 7 or 4 or whatever. Like it's on those main channels that still broadcast over the air. Those stations have to deal with FCC. Those stations have to do what's called equal time. If you offer up a political person of one party time on your network, that amount of time they had on that network, basically if someone on the other side says, hey, I want to be on there equal time, I get exactly as much time as she got, and I want to have it, they have to give it to you. Well, these companies haven't really been doing it. It's been on what they've been calling DNC TV, right? The Democratic Network TV. But that's ending. Because they lose their FCC license, they can no longer broadcast. That's a little catchy situation, but this is very cool. So that's a big, big success. President Trump says we have to bring back asylums, get the crazy people off the street. Heck yeah.
There's a reason for bail, long tested. Signed an executive order to bring back mental institutions and insane asylums. We're going to have to bring them back. Hate to build those suckers, but you got to get the people off the streets.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, here we've got, a whole bunch of stuff. He's kind of parroting a lot of information in here, but Duffy, talking about rebuilding at Trump speed, how America's transportation revival is back on track. We've got the CDL problems kind of under control, if you will, right? 122nd anniversary of Wright Brothers' first flight, and they're doing a lot with the wave transportations happening right now. So again, doing a lot to get money away from, like Gavin Newsom, for example, back because he wouldn't revoke the driver's licenses the way he was supposed to. So he lost $160 million, a state that's already struggling. So yeah, we got a big problem going on, and Trump's doing something about it, and that's awesome. And again, we've got to work from the local levels up, and Trump is trying to meet us in the middle, right? So we've got to be as involved as we can be. Trump signs executive order barring Wall Street investors from buying single-family homes. They're looking into it. Scott Bessent's going to put the stuff together, giving them like 30 days. I think I had it highlighted. Yeah, here it is. Cool. But yeah. Neighborhoods and communities once controlled by middle-class American families are now run by faraway corporate interests, Trump said. People live in homes, not corporations. My administration will take decisive action to stop Wall Street from treating America's neighborhoods like a trading floor and empower American families to own their homes. The order stated that in 30 days, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent will develop definitions of large institutional investor and single-family home. Cabinet members will issue guidance to providing for, approving, ensuring, guaranteeing, securitizing, or facilitating the acquisition by large institutional investors of a single-family home. I should have stretched my mouth before I did this one. Good Lord. Wow. All said. Yeah, Pam Bondi's going to look into it. They're going to try to dig into anybody that's maybe been taking advantage of this, people that might have been affecting rent in certain areas because they own enough homes. So it sounds like they're looking for some criminal conspiracy in the housing markets, in the rent markets as well. So many people, I think, have been very aware of that, and that's awesome. Again, people sold their homes, but they probably got good payments or cash payments or, right, no hassle payments, and they can get out quickly. I think they took advantage of people that were hurting for money. Letitz James makes it quite clear there are no limits to denouncing or harassing Jews in New York. Progressive people are at war against the Jewish people in New York. I'm not sure how to feel about this, frankly. Again, I find this is very interesting. This is part of the show, to a degree. Jews are overwhelmingly Democratic. Now, again, I think votes have been stolen in New York, as California, as well as everywhere else forever. But literally, this, yeah, James she's sort of crazy. But she basically was at this church thing, I think, and she announced last week, or her office announced last week, that they concluded an agreement with Beitar, a small and obscure Zionist group that advocates for Jewish safety and self-determination, forcing it to cease operations in New York. So this group that used to try to protect Jews, she just forced shut them down. Maybe they're dirty. I don't know. AG says Beitar engaged in campaign of violence, harassment, and intimidation against Arab, Muslims, and Jewish New Yorkers. Yeah, so I don't know. AG Beitar called on supporters to fight back at an anti-Zionist protest called Flood Borough Park last February. I don't know, these people are pretty crazy. So, I don't know, we'll see. I forget the quotes was hard to find in here for some reason. But yeah, they bunch of anti-Israeli protests since October, and they're not doing anything about that. Yeah, man. Again, I don't know. I got Jewish friends. I don't really necessarily, the Israeli part is kind of where I get a little weird anyways. I've been called all sorts of names. Whatever. I just play the middle on this one. There's a lot of people that live in Israel that have constantly been under attack, but the way the Belfort Accords and all the stuff happened, it's kind of weird anyway. And then I get the Bible part and all that. It happens to be the name that was changed, you know. It's very strange. Just a lot of weird stuff in there. Don Lemon really pissed this dude off. I kind of feel like he's worth the listen. You guys know I like it when African Americans are able to be bold enough to step out, because they get chastised very hard by their own communities. And again, this guy's fighting for the Christian community, and I think it's a beautiful thing. And Don Lemon, what he did was disgusting. So I like this. Let's check this out.
So Don Lemon and his gaslighting ass finally crossed the line. You know, it was irritating enough this smug, obnoxious jerk rolls down the street with his little microphone and gaslights people he interviews with disinformation, calling himself an independent journalist. But he crossed the line now. This man and a mob of nuts purposely and willfully walked into a house of worship while people were worshiping, praying to God, listening to a message, engaged in their sacred traditions. A Christian church, mind you, and walked in there and disrupted it. And Don, don't you try to distance yourself from it, because yeah, initially I was like, is he doing journalism? And then I saw the footage before you went in. You supported what was happening. You celebrated what was happening. You kissed that crazed activist professor on the cheek. She's a law professor and she doesn't know about the FACE Act? Who the hell is she professing over? The FACE Act clearly states that you cannot disrupt a religious service because you're violating their rights. Don, you supported it. Don't sit there and act like you were distant from it. You were as much of a part of it as that activist in that group where you were giddy about it. When I saw that part of that footage of your little cover your ass moment, that's what you were trying to do, cover your ass, right? You still cooked yourself. And then you went in there with that mob and gleefully started taunting people of faith, putting your microphone in the face of pastors, disrupting their service. Don, you can't distance yourself from it. Bro, what happened to you, man? You used to be one of my favorites, man. I used to watch you back in 2013. I said, hey, this brother has some sense. Yeah, he's left of center, but he has some sense. Something happened to you, man, that turned you into an obnoxious, disgusting, garbage human. A smug, disgusting, garbage human. A jerk. Don, with you and your mob, and you're not the ringleader, I'm an honest man. You were just following the leader, right? Would you and that mob go to a mosque and do that? Would you disrupt a mosque? Would you go do that at a Jewish synagogue? Well, nowadays you might. What the hell is wrong with you people? I don't understand the fervor and hatred that individuals like yourself have for the Christian faith. We're blessed to be in America where they're not killing us yet. Around this world, Christians are facing persecution in Africa and around this world. But the anti-Christian sentiment exists today. The Christian has been made the bad guy for every single thing happening in the world today, which gives you and the band of idiots that walked in there the permission to go in there and disrespect, their service the way you did. That was wrong and that was evil. And how dare you formulate your face? How dare you formulate your lips to say that you're a Christian? You're not a Christian, Don. Let's be real. You don't like Christians at all. You hate Christians who aren't willing to bow down and formulate their faith around your worldview. Any Christian who doesn't, you hate them. And can somebody find a place in the Bible where it says ICE agents can't go to church? Somebody find me a scripture or a verse that says law enforcement officers who happen to work for ICE shouldn't be in church. Man, that's where everybody should be. Cops, sinners, people who are hurting, black people, white people. The church welcomes everybody. So who the hell are you and that mob to walk in that church and tell them that somebody who works for ICE shouldn't be there? It's a sickness with you, man. There's something wrong with you. There's something broken with you, Don.
It does. Progressive, like, people, I think, have it way worse. I've seen it on both sides, though, too. But it is good to remember that just because someone has a different view doesn't mean you should hate them, right? Like, that's what we get when they attack Christians, like, going to the church. That's absolutely absurd, right? But, like, attacking Dylan Mulvaney still, right? It wasn't Dylan Mulvaney's fault, per se, to be on Budweiser, right? And people are very harsh against him. It's like, if he wants to be a transgender, so be it. Who are we to, So I feel like there's, as long as it's not being put in your face, right? As long as it's not affecting you and your kids, it's one thing, right? But yeah, there's some crazy stuff in the world. Whatever. I'm always in the middle. I'm in the crazy land. I don't know. That's why people call me. I think Kami was the one that got me riled up the other day. Well, not riled, but I've mentioned it twice now, so that's bad. They won. Good for you. Mexico said it handed over 37 suspected members of organized crime gangs to the United States after President Trump threatened ground attacks against drug cartels. It's been read that or played that way by insider paper, but that's pretty funny wording, though, after he threatened ground attacks. I mean, he did, but he didn't necessarily say Mexico. Trump talks the way he talks because he wants to leave stuff on the table. Now, he has actually finally come clean when it comes to Greenland about use of force, which I thought was interesting. It was freaking NATO out really bad. So I think Trump was just finally like, all right, relax. It's not what I was saying. Anyway, U.S. Southern Command, they picked up another ship in the Western Hemisphere, apparently. This U.S. military forces, in supporting of the Department of Homeland Security, the thing that they're not going to fund, apprehended motor vessel Sagita without incident. The apprehension of another tanker operating in defiance of President Trump's established quarantine of sanctioned vessels in the Caribbean, right? So they took another ship, another oil ship. And again, I don't know if these ships belong to us. I think they did. I think they were being used illegally in some cases. One of them was ugly as hell. I showed you guys pictures of that. It was on a thumbnail. I'm like, this POS, this is the piece of shit we just took. But I think some of these are going to be utilized for us to ship oil back and forth between Venezuela and Texas. So we got 2 refineries that are going to get fed a lot of yummy crude. A lot of jobs are going to begin happening. A lot of money is going to start flowing. Gas prices are going to begin to come down everywhere except California. But it's one of the reasons why I did get solar, by the way, because I know power is going to get expensive. And right now I get credits. It's worth it. It was probably one of the smartest things I've done. I live in a very sunny place. If you don't live in a sunny place, it doesn't make any sense. But I'm telling you, solar helps a lot. Helps. I mean, if you can store it, especially. After Trump meeting, Slovak Prime Minister Fico says EU is not taken seriously by world leaders. They're not. I mean, Trump literally does kind of bastardize France, and we're going to talk about that. We got a lot of the world stuff coming up here. I wanted to mention My Pillow again. Mike Lindell running for governor. I think what's the name of that? MikeLindellGov.com. MikeLindellGov.com. If you're interested in helping that. Lindell's got 2 L's in it, by the way. Well, 3 if you count the first one. So MikeLindellGov.com, gov.com. MikeLindellGov.com. There we go. It's enough of that nonsense. But what I think is super cool is free shipping. That literally counts on the mattresses, guys. One thing that's interesting about the dollar losing power to buy stuff is it's becoming less and less. It's becoming worth less, we would say. Worth less. It's not totally worthless yet, but it's getting there. We're slowly losing buying power with it. One of the best things to do with some of it, rather than letting it just become worth less, is to get actual assets, tangible goods, things you need. Mattresses are like that. If it's been 15, 20 years, 10 years, I mean, I think this 10 years is typical, but they'll ship it to your door, a mattress. It's a great deal. You go to mypillow.com/OTF, mypillow.com/OTF. Free shipping. Certainly the toppers. They start at $99. Incredible toppers. That'll buy some life. That'll add some comfort. You maybe got a mattress that's a little too firm. That'll give you a little bit of squishy in there. Like, it's just a way to kind of enhance your situation. People love it. And the foam, actually, I feel has a lot to do with heat. That's the only thing I've ever noticed with them. For me, I get warm on them. And so I feel like there's a temperature thing. It's one thing to keep in mind. So certainly that or a new mattress, highly recommended. Free shipping. Plus, they got the Rev 7 shots. Those are like those little vitamin B shots or whatever. I forget what the brand is. But anyway, a lot of people do those ones. They're a little bit of liquid. So they've got that now. Delicious, the Rev 7. So easy way to get energy. They're small to ship. Free 3-pack. Just pay shipping. Of course, the sheets, best sheets ever, Giza sheets, super deep pockets. So if you've got a thick mattress and you got a topper, easily you can get it around those. You got no issues at all, right? You're good to go. Why does it look like that's a box spring? That's not even an actual mattress. Is that a mattress? Whatever. Doesn't matter. They wouldn't mess around like that. No, it's a mattress. All right, whatever. Giza sheets, they are incredible. They start at $29.98. This is their high thread count. This is that Giza Dream Cotton. This is beautiful. Great sheets. It's what I own. I don't have any of the other sheets. Not trying to sound douchey, but I did buy them on sale. I used my same code. I paid the same price you guys do. So, yeah, they're awesome. They've also got the pillows. They do this for our audience because I love this pillow so much. Literally, they stopped sharing the other one because I don't properly sell it. So this is my favorite pillow. I love this thing. They're going to limit 10 people. I don't even know why that needs to happen, but if you run a store and you want to offer my pillows, they come really small. They're like rolled up. It's a trip how small their stuff is. That's why I was joking when I had Mike Lindell on. He didn't hear me, which I thought it would have been funny, but who knows. But I asked him, did they fold this thing up, the topper, so they could shove it in an envelope? Any of you guys that have ever bought my pillow stuff should have chuckled, because it is kind of amazing how they managed to get a lot of stuff into a small space. Towels, too. Best towels ever. Best pillows, best towels, all of it. Blankets, throw pillows, throw blankets. They've also got wonderful comforters. The down comforter is really nice. Really nice and washable and all that stuff. They're sewed into pockets so the down can't move around, at least too much. They're great, though. Super good. You'll love them. So, yeah, check it out. Go to mypillow.com/OTF. mypillow.com/OTF. Free freaking shipping. Take advantage of it while it lasts. I love you guys. And like I said, a mattress. Real goods, real things. Who knows when you'll be able to get another mattress? Who knows? Who knows? Maybe soon. Won't even matter. Maybe we'll just sleep in floaty chambers in 5 years. Something cool. Who knows? Anyway. mypillow.com/OTF. Get the best night of sleep you have ever had. There you go. All right, let's rock and roll. Yeah, Europe, all this crap. Saudi foreign minister posts a joint letter confirming that Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Egypt, Jordan, Indonesia, Pakistan, Qatar, and the UAE welcome the invitation extended to their leaders by the President of the United States of America, again, camel case, Donald J. Trump, to join the Board of Peace. Trump is creating whole entire new agreements from the Republic standpoint. He's rehashing stuff. New agreements, the tariffs being made. Again, all of this is actually happening right now, folks. They just haven't admitted it because they kind of can't. The threat against, I'm sure, people is a little too great still. Trump invites Xi and Putin to the Board of Peace also. He's calling all the right people. He's like, look, I want everybody to be here. Let's make peace happen. It's not just going to be Israel. Though Israel does suspend Chinese EVs over cybersecurity concerns. I think that, this is my girl, my original girl anyways. It's not Alice Tang, unfortunately. I kind of got a really, wow. Anyways, this is Tiffany Meyer, though. I like this girl. Check it out.
Israel's defense ministry has suspended the use of Chinese-made electric vehicles, including those by BYD, over serious cybersecurity concerns. The announcement earlier this week comes amid growing concerns that connected car technology could be used for espionage. The ban follows warnings from cybersecurity experts who say sensors and software in Chinese EVs could give Beijing insight into Israel's most sensitive military routines. Israel has already barred Chinese-made cars from military bases for similar reasons. Since late 2025, the military has begun phasing out the use of Chinese EVs by senior Israeli officers. In addition, reports say that the Israeli military recalled roughly 700 Chinese-made EVs since 2022. Officials point to the car's connected systems and cameras. They say the vehicles could potentially transmit sensitive data back to China or even allow remote control. Security experts warn that devices connected to the internet, especially electric vehicles, can serve as data collecting platforms that foreign governments could exploit. And by law, Chinese companies must share its collected data with the Chinese regime when requested, making these vehicles dangerous for commercial use. Data from the Israel Imported Vehicles Association shows Chinese EVs accounted for more than a third of all new car registrations in the third quarter of 2025. Experts warn that Israel may need to consider recalling all Chinese-linked EVs to protect national security.
Now, a lot of people are talking about these Chinese cars, and they're like, oh, they're going to, they're way better and blah, blah, blah. Okay, first off, this is China trying to make it sound like it is better. Second off, they are devices that are certainly going to spy wherever they're at. And probably any information you put into it when you connect your phone and you give it permissions, like it'll just send all that to China, or China will have access to it if they decide they want to. They're super cheap, so it would destroy any of our companies. It would, absolutely. And Trump would just tear up the shit out of this particular company, especially for electric cars because of Tesla. But yes, Israel is like, no, we can't use these guys anymore. That's unacceptable, right? And of course, we've found out that Canada is made a deal with China and the electric vehicles. We'll get there. Kelly Meyer posted this. Air Force One was returning. It was taken off to go to Davos. It ended up returning. A lot of people noticed it on flight tracker radar. Apparently, there was an issue with the electrical system, so they switched planes, and Trump was on his way. Now, here's the rundown. Like I said, I think they did a pretty good job just covering it. A lot of stuff, but they did a good job. They're all little one-liners. Domestic and affordability type stuff. This is the speech he gave, basically. It was like an hour and a half, 2 hours long, 90-minute speech. Really long, as far as I'm concerned. I haven't even actually listened to it yet. I'd like to, but I haven't yet. Parts of it. Trump, for domestic and affordability. Trump, U.S. inflation has been defeated. U.S. economy on pace to grow at double IMF projected rates. Believe my policies can bring growth even higher. Intend to raise living standards. Stock market dip, peanuts. Stock market will double. Mortgage prices, rents, car payments going down. Drug prices will go down by a staggering 90%. Attacks on corporations. Trump is attacking corporations buying houses. He signed an order banning institutional home buyers. He laments the surging credit card debt. He reiterates seeking credit card interest cap for 1 year. He doesn't want to hurt value held by people owning homes. He says institutional home buying just not fair to the public. He says he has to think about home depreciation rules. Trump is, wow, God, it would suck to have the house depreciated. U.S. is keeping the whole world afloat, and he realized many places making fortunes from the U.S. Crypto, Congress working on crypto market structure regulation. He says they hope to sign a bill on crypto soon. They also, crypto politically popular, need to block China's hold. So, for all you crypto people, he's definitely talking about it. The Fed, announcing new Fed chair is not too distant future. New Fed chair will be someone very respected. Problem is, Fed chairs change once they get the role. We should be paying a much lower interest rate. Powell raises interest rates, stops us from success. Good news used to send stocks up, how it should be. Growth doesn't mean inflation. It can fight inflation. So again, I think with the tariffs and stuff, he's right. It's going to make the stock market rally on good economic news. Because right now there's this weird detach from what happens in the market, and they like make stories up, or they try to find like, well, this must be the news thing that the stock market's reacting to, and it's like, huh? Why would that matter? Stock market does weird stuff. There's other factors at play, and Trump's kind of calling it out. He's at Davos again, WEF. So Europe, in the Europe area, says Europe not heading in the right direction. Certain places in Europe are not recognizable anymore. Criticizes Europe, emphasizes on green energy and immigration. Said when the U.S. goes up, you follow. He criticized European energy costs, blames windmills. He says we want strong allies, not seriously weakened ones. And Trump mocks the French President Macron for wearing sunglasses. He called them beautiful sunglasses. I think supposedly Macron had a messed up eye or something, or got punched again by his husband. I want Europe and the UK to do great, he said. Okay, so energy, says U.S. natural gas production at all-time high. U.S. helping Venezuela will split the oil revenue with them. Gasoline prices will soon be less than $2 a gallon. U.S. is going heavy into nuclear energy, reiterates attack on windmills, says China sells windmills but doesn't use them themselves. If you think about it, it's kind of funny. And on NATO, time to step up. Tremendous respect for people of Greenland, Denmark. During World War II, we fought to save Greenland for Denmark. After war, we gave Greenland back. How stupid we were. Denmark ungrateful about Greenland. U.S. alone can protect Greenland, develop it, improve it. U.S. treated very unfairly by NATO. Greenland would not be a threat to NATO, would enhance. U.S. seeks immediate talks on acquiring Greenland. They won't use force to get Greenland. He actually said that. Seeking right, title, and ownership of Greenland. We are not going to defend Greenland on a lease. NATO, Europe doesn't appreciate work that the U.S. does. Building a golden dome atop Greenland. Not sure NATO will be there for us if we're attacked. Now I'm asking for a piece of ice, a very small ask. U.S. will make weapons even faster after new defense rules. Greenland costing Denmark hundreds of millions to run it. Trump, if you say no, we will remember. And that quote's going to haunt them badly. So ultimately, we're not asking a lot, but if you say no, we'll remember that. And it will be interesting to see where that goes. On Canada, he says Golden Dome will defend Canada. They should be grateful. Canada is not grateful. Canada lives because of the U.S. Remember that, Carney. He literally calls them out. It's pretty sweet. In Ukraine, Russia, Ukraine is a bloodbath. I want to stop it. NATO wants help on Ukraine. We're going to. Dealing with Putin, he wants to make a deal. He believes Zelensky wants to make a deal. Abnormal hatred between Russia, Ukraine, trying on the deal. It just makes it harder. And stupid if Ukraine, Russia can't come together on a deal. And finally, the West has to become stronger, defend its culture, and the West's prosperity and progress came from our culture. So, yeah, giving it up, especially letting people just come in and take over areas is, well, it's an invasion is what it is. So that was pretty good. Trump did a lot. He also, supposedly during the same meeting, President Trump was also asked about President Macron's proposal to hold an emergency meeting of G7 nations in Paris after the World Economic Forum's Davos conference this week, to discuss the Greenland issue. He rejected the notion out of hand. President Trump said it would be pointless to use time attending in-person talks with Macron, and his presidency is not long for this earth, and that he'd rather speak to people directly involved with the issue at hand rather than third parties. It's like, we don't even care what you think, France. You're not involved. You're trying to involve yourself in something that you're not involved in. So, essentially, F you. We've got globalization. This was awesome. Lutnick saying this at the World Economic Forum on behalf of the United States to Europe and everybody. Globalization has failed. This dude's awesome.
Well, I think, you should start at a much higher level.
Okay.
We are in Davos at the World Economic Forum. And the Trump administration and myself, we are here to make a very clear point. Globalization has failed the West and the United States of America. It's a failed policy. It is what the WEF has stood for, which is export, offshore, far shore, find the cheapest labor in the world, and the world is a better place for it. The fact is, it has left America behind. It has left the American workers behind. And what we are here to say is that America First is a different model, one that we encourage other countries to consider, which is that our workers come first. We can have policies that impact our workers. Sovereignty is your borders. You're entitled to have borders. You shouldn't offshore your medicine. You shouldn't offshore your semiconductors. You shouldn't offshore your entire industrial base and have it be hollowed out beneath you. You should not be dependent for that which is fundamental to your sovereignty on any other nation. And if you're going to be dependent on someone, it darn well better be your best allies. Okay? And so that is a different way of thinking. It is completely different than the WEF. I viewed the WEF as not a flagpole in the middle, but in fact, they are the flag. Whichever way the wind blew, so it blew. You should have solar, you should have wind. Why are you going to do solar and wind? Why would Europe agree to be net zero in 2030 when they don't make a battery? They don't make a battery. So if they go 2030, they are deciding to be subservient to China, who makes the batteries.
Right. Like, you guys are idiots, essentially. And they really are, right? U.S. is going to cut roughly 200 NATO positions, sources say, not drastically. As their contracts expire, they're going to start pulling them from all over the place. It's a lot of the DEI stuff, a lot of the crap that's just not doing anything to make us bigger and better, and certainly is not doing anything to help NATO. It's just pointless. NATO might be taking advantage of it more than we are, for that matter. So they are getting rid of it, but slowly. 200, it's not that many. So, nah. Scott Bessent, sorry. He roasts Gavin Newsom. Of course I got to take advantage of this. I'm sorry for you guys that don't hate Gavin enough yet. Shouldn't hate anybody. That don't dislike Gavin enough yet.
I think it's very, very ironic that Governor Newsom, who strikes me as Patrick Bateman meets Sparkle Beach Ken, may be the only Californian who knows less about economics than Kamala Harris. He's here this week with his billionaire sugar daddy, Alex Soros, and Davos is the perfect place for a man who, when everyone else was on lockdown, when he was having people arrested for going to church, he was having $1,000 a night meals at the French Laundry, and I'm sure the California people won't forget that. And I can tell my message to Governor Newsom is the Trump administration is coming to California. We are going to crack down on waste, fraud, and abuse. And I was told he was asked to give a speech on his signature policies, but he's not speaking. Because what have his economic policies brought? Outward migration from California, a gigantic budget deficit, the largest homeless population in America, and the poor folks in the Palisades who had their homes burned down. He is here hobnobbing with the global elite while his California citizens are still homeless. Shame on him. He is too smug, too self-absorbed, and too economically illiterate to know anything.
Thank you very much.
Let me know if you need any further clarification.
I love this dude. I can't even help it. He's the best. Let me know if you need me to clarify that further. What's weird is he seemed like that was prepared or something because he was reading something, right? So that was strange, kind of, but nonetheless. Gavin Newsom has been blocked from entering the USA House to speak in Davos. He's been blocked. Check it out.
In a statement posted on X just moments ago, the governor's office writes, quote, under pressure from the White House and State Department, USA House, which is a church acting as the official U.S. pavilion, is now denying entry to Gavin Newsom to speak with media after Fortune invited him to speak, end quote. Now, remember, the governor was invited to speak at an event at the World Economic Forum in Switzerland. President Trump went there and spoke earlier this morning. In an interview with CNN, Governor Newsom called Trump's speech, quote, remarkably insignificant. Now, here at KCRA 3, we are working to still gather more information about why the governor may have been blocked from speaking.
Whoops. Whoopsie. Looks like he's not going to be able to do that. I swear to God, they like intentionally make that. I gotta relearn a whole new mechanism. Habits suck. Anyway, sorry, you guys. I don't know if you notice when I do that. I do it all the time. I stop doing it all the time. I'm gonna do it correctly every time now. That's how you manifest better. I'm going to start doing it correctly. I'm going to be doing it correctly. I will be doing it correctly. All right. U.S. envoy Witkoff says he will meet with Putin on Thursday. Yeah, this guy's not nearly as hot as the other two, but he's actually one of their better newscasters.
President Trump's special envoy, Steve Witkoff, is going to Moscow tomorrow. He says he will meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin.
Said that you're planning to meet with President Putin tomorrow. What do you plan to discuss with him?
We plan to discuss peace in Ukraine and Russia.
And how do you think it will go?
I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that all meetings will go well. We need a peace.
Is Mr. Kushner coming with you?
He is, of course.
And are you meeting Ukrainians later?
We are, sir.
Witkoff says they plan to discuss peace and the war in Ukraine and Russia. He made the comments at the World Economic Forum in Davos. The special envoy says the Russians asked for the meeting. He called that a significant statement on their part. The Kremlin said last week it was preparing to welcome Witkoff and Jared Kushner to Moscow for peace talks in Ukraine, but that no dates had been set. Witkoff also said he thinks Putin will be joining Trump's Board of Peace.
That's awesome. And this could signal the end of the war, which would be extraordinary. Extraordinary. It would be huge for the world. It would suck way harder for Europe, especially that's really, I mean, unfortunately, them and China and Canada are some of the most riddled with deep state corruption. Canada will take care of. We'll clean that out, and Trump's doing that. He's making it hard on them right now, and now they're having to beg to China when they should just make friends with the neighbors to the south who love them, by the way. Honk, honk to all my Canadian friends out there. Got a decent number of you that listen. We're not going to leave you behind. We love you guys. You guys, well, Quebec. The Quebecois, they friggin' hate our asses, but most of you guys dig us. Most of you guys dig us. We're too hip to be square. That's why. You gotta love us. You gotta love us. Trump puts Canada in its place. He says they live because of the United States. They called that out, the Carney thing. I think I already mentioned this, so good enough. Mock Carney. I feel like that's a dude from Michael the Mechanics. I feel like their first dude's last name's Carney. Anyway, whatever. It doesn't matter. Canada simulates hit and run with the U.S. They actually literally simulated a war with the U.S. They lose. I mean, they know it. They're like, yeah, we totally get our asses smoked. But we've got some ideas for the few people that aren't dead. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to get on a dog sled. No, I'm just kidding. They're not going to. I mean, that's in some parts maybe, up in the Yukon, right? Northern territories up there, right? In the crazy land where there's moose and bears and lions and tigers and... Okay, some of those animals don't belong up there, but whatever. So, this is Canada, the ones that are going to China. We'll talk about that in a second. Making deals with them. In above us, deals with China. I can't wait until they start putting in Chinese radar, and then we just literally take over Canada. that's maybe going to come. We'll see. If they do anything that affects our national security, Trump will literally be like, all right, well, you leave me one option. Take you over, and we'll do that. So I'm not saying that's going to happen. And again, we love you guys. Love hockey, man. It's such a good sport. How could we live without that? Well, that's all right. We'll be friends with the Russians. All right, we got that still. Okay, maybe. Who knows? I'm loving you guys. Just kidding. Just teasing. Wink, wink. Come on.
To hear this. What you are seeing right now is not your imagination. There is a divide growing in this country, and it is not coming from the people. It is coming from the federal government. Refugee claimants are considered residents of Canada for the purpose of federal benefits the moment that they receive their temporary documents. That status unlocks multiple federal programs as long as they meet the income criteria, even if they've never worked here, they've never paid into our system, and they have only been in Canada for days or weeks. In Canada, the Resettlement Assistance Program, or RAP, covers almost every living expenses for newcomers: furniture, linens, household needs, transportation support, dietary allowances, clothing allowances, newborn allowances, maternity clothing and benefits, school allowances, the maximum child tax benefit, monthly income supports, housing top-ups, and even startup payments in the thousands, over $8,000. They also receive interim federal health coverage, which includes healthcare, vision, and dental. And today I learned that they also qualify for the Canadian Dental Care Plan as well. So they're getting double coverage for dental. I will link this website for you so that you can look yourself. My mind is honestly blown. Meanwhile, Canadian families are paying higher taxes, higher rent, higher bills, and being told to tighten their belt. Programs for our own veterans continue to be cut. I want to be very clear. I am not blaming the families that have arrived here. Any one of us would take the help if we were in their situation. This is about our government. They continue stretching Canadians thinner while expanding programs that Canadians themselves cannot even access. They created the rules, they've created this gap, and they are responsible for this resentment. And now they turn around and say that the public is the problem, that raising concerns is somehow hatred or phobia, and now they're going to censor our speech left, right, and center. So no, the problem is a system that gives full support to one group while telling the people that built this country that they should be grateful for scraps. The divide is not natural, it is not accidental, it is engineered. They continue draining working Canadians while sending hundreds of millions overseas. Over 250 million more were announced today alone. The moment that more Canadians start looking at the numbers for themselves, my hope is that the conversation changes fast. The government is supposed to work for us, not the other way around, but they're not listening to us. When will our leaders finally pause, look at the strain happening here at home, and put Canadians first so that they can stabilize this country?
Hey, Canadians, make sure you get out there and check your healthcare and daycare centers and check all the different places for these communities. You have the same problem. It is a recipe that's baked into all of these social structures. They did it intentionally. Never to benefit you, always to benefit them. Always. It's interesting how the game is played. So even the Canuckers are waking up there. So maybe we keep hockey after all. Make hockey great again. I love hockey. Man who assassinated former Japanese leader Abe was... he did it with a homemade gun, too, by the way. 3D printed it. Sentenced to life in prison. They're trying to outlaw in New York the ability to 3D print a gun. Which, interesting. I don't know how they do that. I'm curious. Because there's a lot of components of that could be other things, right? Well, it's going to be a small pipe. Oh, well, that's okay. That's not a barrel, then. It's a pipe. Like, right? It's like when you used to walk, anybody that's ever been to a head shop back in the old days, you weren't allowed to just be like, hey, man, where are the bongs at? And they'd be like, what? We don't know what those are. You need to leave the store right now, sir. What do you mean? We don't have any bongs here. Those are illegal. And you're like, oh, what are those things called? Water pipes? Oh, I got you. All right. Sorry. My bad. Like the soup Nazi. You like get... Anyway, it's true. It's all words. I don't know. I don't know how that works exactly. Australia passes a new bill for tougher gun control and anti-hate speech laws, because that's how you deal with the thing that's just happened. Take away even more opportunities for people within your larger audience to have guns. Again, in the Australian communities, for a lot of people that don't realize it, and I know this because I've been told this numerous times by many Aussies, apparently... Their whole concept of growing up with guns is very different than us. I think it's more of an outback thing, or people, not outback, but like the steakhouse might put a shrimp on the bobby. But more like, I think people that are out in like the boondocks and stuff maybe had them just for protection. You needed them. Shit, everything can kill you. You see a spider, you got to shoot the damn thing. I mean, you need guns to save your life every day. Probably 5 things a day they got to shoot. Oh, thank God that thing didn't get me. Like, anyway, horrible. In fact, it's funny. One of the guys sent me a funny little picture. It just shows all the crazy shit. Shark people, you get eaten by sharks, and razor coral, and different animals, and spiders, giant spiders. And it's like, oh, Jesus. Giant spiders. Yeah, that's a bit of a phobia. Yep. That movie, Arachnophobia, did not help at all when it came to that. So, yeah. Australia, England, I mean, you guys aren't the same by any stretch of the imagination, kind of. It's just, I mean, we're all brothers, certainly, but, that's about where it ends. Australia passes this new bill. You guys are fucked, man. You got to start making noise down there in whatever legal way you can. The Gates Foundation and OpenAI are launching a $50 million AI health program in Africa. They really want to fuck with Africans, don't they? His vaccines have been jacking Africans for years. So, $50 million now to AI health program. Bill Gates is behind it, using OpenAI. No way this is good. No way this is good. They're looking for genetic something. Maybe they're looking for the bloodline of Christ. I don't know what they're doing in Africa, but it is craziness. This is very strange to me. Something to, I don't know, guys. Curious what you think. Throw some comments out there. Do a thumbs up if you can. Please make sure you're subscribed to me. Easiest way is to go to Rumble, rumble.com/C/on the fringe. Hit enter, and that'll take you to my channel. And then you can branch from there, and then you can see actually my screen. Because some of you guys might just be seeing like some little cartoon character, and I'm talking. And you're like, really? You're actually not a cartoon character? No, I'm actually on the bottom screen, and you can see my stupid face and everything. It's embarrassing how stupid my face looks. Southwest, they're making huge changes to seating policy, just in case any of you guys give a shit. They are getting rid of the first boarding concept. You know, the first people that got a hold of it. They got to board first, basically, I believe is how that worked. And then on top of that, they are getting rid of all the discount flying. They're becoming a normal airline, essentially. It's become way too expensive probably to do what they've been doing. So a lot of people that have been discount flying for years are likely going to lose that possibility, or you might want to look into some of the membership programs, or you're just going to pay more. Gentlemen, I'm sorry. The secret is apparently out of the bag. I've kind of mentioned this before, but I still find this to be one of the most amazing parts of the gym. Sometimes things just happen in front of you, and us men, our brains are wired for movement. Movement happens, you're like, oh. So someone bends over wearing a pair of Lululemon leggings, they call them, I guess. Yeah, oftentimes you can see totally through it. Totally see through, especially stretch it out, especially if you're a little bigger, if you're kind of stretching them a little bit maybe, and then when you bend over and that ass maybe, and I'm just saying, seen it way too many times. It is see-through. Picture right here. This lady looking good too, by the way, but you can see her panties. Like I've told you guys, you could be wearing a friggin' trench coat. I'll see your underwear. That's my superpower. That's nice. Nice underwear. I'm thinking. Just wear that to the gym too. Looking all hot like that. Wow. Anyways, yeah, here's that. De Beers cutting diamond prices. Botswana is warning of prolonged slump. Botswana. Yeah, okay, everyone. I don't know about you guys. You've done the Botswana cruise, right? It's the best. I've never been there. It's just pirate boats. Just you get arrested. You get like shot at. Yeah, people with swords. Matey, walk the plank. Hi, Patch McCain. What are you doing here, Dan Crenshaw? It's crazy. But needless to say, De Beers, the world's largest diamond mining company, is warned of a prolonged downturn. The synthetic diamonds are apparently replacing a lot of the real diamonds, and the prices of diamonds are falling, which for anybody out there that likes diamonds, hey now, look at that. They're, by the way, one of the best crystals from a spiritual standpoint. Better than clear quartz, by the way, even. So, again, hard to get big ones, but you don't need a big one. Size doesn't matter when it comes to crystals. Sometimes it just helps the way it fits in your hand or the way you hold it, the way you touch it. But, it really doesn't matter. It's the energy through which it helps focus. It's just a beautiful thing. So, nonetheless, diamonds are getting cheaper. That's the end of the story. In Botswana. And finally, I feel bad for Russell Brand. I mean, if he's guilty, he's guilty. He used to be a total whore. He's been very, very honest about that. This is going back from 1999, 2000, party over, out of time, to 2005. This dude was doing drugs and ladies and lines off ladies' asses. I mean, so And the fact that they're trying to get him for something that's probably outside of the statute of limitations, but they've probably maybe made some sort of weird change. I don't know, whatever the case is. They don't like him. He's become conservative. He's become Christian. And he was in the business. I think, he probably was going to some of these Diddy-type parties back in the day. And he found God, which is cool. So whatever the case, I don't know if this is his penance or what. But, yeah, he's big on Rumble. I know that. Yes. I wanted to actually do a little, I use this in my thumbnail, but I wanted to do a little, my Bridget's testicles are in here. I wanted to put a little circle and then an arrow pointing at it. But I'm like, I'd just be this stupid, complicated thumbnail. It would have been funny as hell, and not everybody would have seen the humor like I do. All said, whatever the hell. I love you guys. Lots happening, lots changing constantly. I don't even know what to say. 24 hours every day. I'm just like, I can't believe how much shit's happened in one day. Yeah, I'm going to have to get better at trimming. That's for sure. All said, love you guys. We're going to continue fighting the fight. Like I said, we've got cool stuff going on Thursday. Thursday, we've also got the Law of One. For those of you that are following, we're sessions 79 and 80 this week. I believe it's 106 total. So we're, probably 10 weeks away-ish from finishing, 12 weeks away from finishing. Also, this Saturday is our last $25 tier show in the mix. So you guys want to probably check it out. It'll be fun. I'm sure we'll talk about some cool stuff, however it plays out. The $5 one, I might keep going. We'll see. If you don't want to keep donating, don't stop. You can go to onthefringe.locals.com and stop the donation. But if you still got a $5 donation going on, we might still do the Zoom meeting. That's been fun. I've kind of enjoyed that. And that's only once a month. I can do one thing. I can plan my life around that a little better than twice. That was tough. There's a lot of things I wasn't able to do because I was like, I got to do the thing on Saturday. Shit, man. It's just too many times. I love you guys. We're going to keep working together. We're going to go through this transition. I think a lot of us are going to graduate and figure out how to properly assess and move ourselves into this next phase, because that's what we're going into. Basically the slump and then the growth. And it's going to be a bumpy, interesting ride. Again, I don't know. I think most of us with our thinking are going to smooth it out to a large extent. So again, be ready is all I can say. Be prepared. And for those of you guys in harm's way with the weather, definitely be careful. And if for some reason your testes are inside his hand, sorry. It's on the Fringe. Oh, sorry. Where we go one, we go all. Yes, we're in this together, guys, even if your testes are in his hand. Where we go one, we go all. It's on the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle.